Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial. So let's talk about the concept of big data. What is that and how it works? So the big data refers to data that is very large, complex, and is difficult to analyze with traditional methods. So you can understand from here that the definition itself is kind of like vague, but the characteristics of big data is that it should be very large, and very large means that we are talking about the terabytes of data or petabytes of data, and it's complex. So we'll be coming to the concept of the complex of big data, and then it says that it is difficult to analyze with traditional methods. And what do we mean by traditional methods? The traditional method is the RDBMS, or Relational Database Management System. So that means that the characteristic or the features of the big data should be that it should be very, very large and difficult to analyze with traditional methods, and it should be complex. Now, what are the features of big data? That what it should have, the common features. We call it the 3V. The first one is the volume, the second one is the variety, and the third one is the velocity. So the volume refers to the size of data set that needs to be analyzed. This data can be easily more than terabyte or petabyte, as I said before. An example is analyzing all credit card transactions in a single day in a country. So, like remember, there are so many financial institutions in a country, and there may be like millions of users, and the millions of users are making so many transactions every day, and the volume is such an extent that we are going to extract data and analyze data of million of transactions in a single day. Then it talks about the variety. The variety is a structured, semi-structured, or unstructured data coming from different sources. So we'll be talking about what the variety means, and this one was referred as the complexity of the data. And then the velocity, and the velocity refers to the speed how data is generated. So let's say like the Twitter data or the Facebook messages. So how speedy the data is and how speedy the data is being generated. That is what we are calling about the velocity. And remember that these are the three features that we don't see normally within the um, within the idea of the relational database management system. So now let's talk about the type of data. And this one I referred as the complexity of data or the variety of data. So according to the classification, we can have like three broad categories of data type. One is the structured data, then unstructured data, and the semi-structured data. What does mean by the structured data? So the structured data is something that is based on a strict data model and adheres to it. So that means, let's say we are going to have a student database, or let's say a student table, and within the student table we are going to have a student ID, student name, student course, something like that. So we are talking about a very specific data model, and over here this is the student data. On the other hand, unstructured data does not adhere to any data model. Generally these are text heavy data that may contain numbers, dates, and others. Okay, so it doesn't refer to any kind of strict data model. And then the semi-structured data is falling in between these two, which does not based on data model but have some sort of tags or markers to separate semantic elements and enforce hierarchy of data. So we can talk about the JSON and XML data type. So if we are going to look over here, that we are going to have a structured data which is adhering to a strict data model, and then we have unstructured data, and the unstructured data can be example of image files, or we can have like just textual data, and without any clue, we can have audio or video files. Okay, so these are unstructured data. And the semi-structured data can be like the XML, JSON data, etc. And remember that within the semi-structured data, we should have some sort of tags so that we can identify the data.